Hi there, guten Tag, right? I think it's so cool that we have a German restaurant here now. So what kind of beer is the Haker? You know what? Let me just get a Löwenbräu. I'm just gonna do a Budweiser. Hallo, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Felicia. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio on and off since 2016. It's Oktoberfest season, and if it weren't for the evil C word, this would be the second of 3 Oktoberfest weekends in Munich. It's commonly known as the Italiener Wochenende, the Italian weekend, because every year there are even more Italian tourists coming that weekend than the rest of the festival. Now, even though the Munich Oktoberfest isn't happening this year, I know that many of you might be attending Oktoberfest celebrations in your town, where you may or may not run into issues like in the intro sequence. And a lot of you actually asked me in the context of my video on how to pronounce German brands if I could tell you how to pronounce certain German beer brands and beer breweries. And I mean, what better time could there be to do that than during Oktoberfest season? Before I get into that though, I have a big announcement. Just in time for Oktoberfest season, I have some really cool new products on my shop, and I have an amazing deal for you guys too. So if you buy 3 or more items from the Oktoberfest collection, you'll get 10% off all of those items. Of course, the collection includes the authentic Bavarian beer mugs with my personalized print on them. You can get these in a 1 liter size, which is this size, a half liter size, or the 1 liter one that I will put a handwritten message on for you. Then of course it includes the bottle openers that have been a great hit, and some of my brand new products. One of them is these coasters that I made for you guys. You can get them in a set of 4, and they each have a different design in the middle. 3 pretty important Oktoberfest phrases and 1 with just a beer in the middle. I should probably explain these phrases to you though, because otherwise you won't really know what you're buying. So at Oktoberfest or at other beer festivals, there's often an exchange of chants between the singer on the stage and the crowd. For example, they might sing Ein Prosit der Gemütlichkeit. Prosit is another term for Prost, which means cheers, and Gemütlichkeit is kind of similar to coziness or just being relaxed. And then after they sing that, the crowd and the singer together will usually say Oans, zwei, drei, which is just Bavarian dialect for 1, 2, 3, drink, or 1, 2, 3, drunk. Then you clink your glasses with everyone who's at the table and drink. Or sometimes the singer will say zicke, zacke, and then the crowd answers hoi, 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 or hey, 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 which I've heard in the US too. I think they do that at like the Hofbräu here or the local Oktoberfest celebrations here too. So let's just say this is the singer, this is the crowd. There's always different variations, but just one example would be zicke, zacke, hoi, 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 Prost ihr Säcke, Prost du Sack. And then sometimes they will say, auf die Weiber, zack, 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 danke, bitte, Prost. So Sack, or in the plural Säcke in this context, is like a colloquial friendly insult, if you will. So it literally means sack, but it's more like, you know, calling your friend an idiot or something like that. But it's more like in a friendly way, if that makes sense. And then of course there's the phrase ozapft ist, which you've heard in my last video. It means it's tapped in Bavarian dialect, and those are the words that Oktoberfest usually gets opened with by the mayor of Munich when he taps the first barrel of beer on the first day of Oktoberfest. So that's what those phrases mean, and I also made some really cool designs for t-shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts with those phrases as well. So just go to felifromgermany.com and check out the Oktoberfest collection at the very top, and you will get 10% off if you get 3 or more items from the collection. And with that, here's what you need to know about pronouncing German beer brands. Let's start with the basics, which is pronouncing the different types of beer. You often see this word in the US. Americans usually pronounce it Hefeweizen, but in German it's pronounced Hefeweizen. Hefeweizen. So the W and the Z are a lot harsher. Weizen. In Bavaria, we also call that a Weißbier, a white beer, and in other parts of Germany, they call it a Weizen, a wheat, since it's wheat beer. Then the most common type of beer in Bavaria is Helles, which is lager, and you sometimes find this, which Americans often call a Dunkel. In German, it's pronounced Dunkel, which literally means dark, and there are actually different types of dark beer, different types of Dunkel beer. Outside of Bavaria, Pilsners are also very popular, which is Pils in German, Pils, and in the Cologne area specifically, you'll find the beer that is served in the really small 0.2 liter glasses, and that is called Kölsch. Not super easy to pronounce with the umlaut, but it's Kölsch. Kölsch. Now let's talk about beer brands. This one you find a lot in the US actually, especially their Hefeweizen mixed drinks with different flavors, and it's pronounced Schöfferhofer. Schöfferhofer. So the first one has an umlaut, the second one doesn't. Schöfferhofer. Then I was actually very surprised about how often you come across this beer in the US, whether it's at the store or at a bar. Weihenstephaner. This is actually a brewery that is located just outside of Munich in a city called Freising, and they're definitely known in the area and in Munich, probably in the rest of Bavaria as well, but I wouldn't say their beer is overly popular all over Germany. What's interesting is that the brewery is actually connected to a university campus where they offer programs together with the Technical University of Munich and also separately for things like beer brewing and agriculture. And they also have a dairy factory and sell products like milk, cheese, cream, butter, and those kinds of things all over Germany, and I would say personally that those products are probably better known than their beer. The brewery claims that they're the oldest brewery in the world, by the way, founded in the year 1040, and the name goes back to an abbey that was located on top of the Weihenstephaner hill. So the pronunciation is Weihenstephaner, or if you say it quicker, Weihenstephaner, so almost like wine, but Wein, so like if you put an English V in front, Weihenstephaner. And apparently they're pretty good at international marketing considering how present they are in the US. Now let's talk about the best known breweries from Munich, my hometown. I think I've mentioned most of these before at some point. For example, when I talked about my favorite beer or the breweries at Oktoberfest, because at Oktoberfest there's only Munich breweries allowed. This first one is called Paulaner. I think it's pretty simple. Paulaner. Just like the most breweries in Bavaria, this one used to be a monastery, and the monks started brewing beer there around 1634. Paulaner is known both in Germany and abroad and is known for their Hefeweizen, but also their lager. Then we have my personal favorite brewery, Augustiner. Augustiner. Their lager is a staple both in Munich but also all over Germany. Many people always have a case of Augustiner at home, and when you come by a kiosk or a bakery in Munich that has like a really small beer selection, Augustiner will definitely be one of them, or the only beer that they have. In the US, they're not quite as present as many other German breweries, but they do sell their export beer here, even though it's obviously much more expensive and it comes in a 0.3 liter bottle instead of a half-liter bottle like in Germany. Which in Germany, those usually cost around like €1. Now the one that everyone in the US has definitely heard of before, Hofbräu, the brewery that runs the Hofbräu house in Munich. It's actually really common that breweries have their own restaurants and beer gardens. All the other breweries have that too in Munich, but of course, Hofbräu house itself has become a cultural asset. Even though Munich locals don't usually go there. I think I've only ever been inside like twice in my life, and that was with people who visited me from abroad. Now again, it's pronounced Hofbräu. The A umlaut U diphthong is pronounced Oi in German, Hofbräu. And to be completely honest with you, I personally don't know a single person who gets Hofbräu beer at the store or who would pick a Hofbräu beer over other brands. I mean, it's good compared to American beer, but compared to other Munich and Bavarian breweries, it's pretty average in my opinion. But Hofbräu House has a lot of history to it, of course. It was founded in 1589 by the Duke of Bavaria, Wilhelm V, so it was owned by the royals, and that's also why it's called court brew. Hof is the court back in the day, and then Bräu means Bräu. And apparently the Hofbräu house is where the phrase Oans, zwei, drei is from, which is what I mentioned earlier. And yeah, that's still a very popular phrase these days. This is the one that out of all of the Munich breweries, people seem to struggle with the most, Löwenbräu. Löwenbräu. If you struggle with pronouncing the umlauts, the vowels with the dots, I actually made a video where I explained how to pronounce them, but in this specific case, it's pronounced Ö. Ö. So Löwenbräu, and again, the A umlaut U is pronounced Oi. Löwenbräu. And Löwenbräu translates to lion brew. By the way, all of these traditional breweries brew their beer according to the so-called German purity law, das deutsche Reinheitsgebot, which means that the beer can only consist of these ingredients. More Munich breweries are Haker-Pschorr, which I know is pretty hard to pronounce. Haker-Pschorr, SCH is sh, and the R at the end of a word doesn't really need to be pronounced very strongly, so it's Pschorr, and no, the P is not silent in German. And the Hacker tent at Oktoberfest is actually one of my personal favorites. And then there is Spaten, which is the German word for spade. When there is an SP or ST in the beginning of a word, the S is pronounced like a sh in German. Spaten. Now let's leave Munich and talk about other breweries that you guys may have come across before. For this one, we don't even have to go far from Munich. Erding is just northeast of Munich, right where the Munich airport is located. I've personally been there quite a lot, not just for the airport, but also to go to a really big water park that is there, Therme Erding. But anyways, the brewery is called Erdinger and mainly known for their Weißbier, their Hefeweizen. According to their own numbers, they're the biggest Hefeweizen brewery in the world and export their beer to over 100 countries, while it's still all being brewed in Erding itself. Now, people who drink a lot of Hefeweizen often say that Erdinger and Franziskaner are the two best breweries for that, which Franziskaner is actually from Munich again, so I guess we didn't fully leave Munich quite yet, and this one is pronounced Franziskaner. Franziskaner, and the other one was Erdinger. Erdinger. By the way, people are often surprised to find out that beer without alcohol, alkoholfreies Bier, is very popular in Germany as well. So to Germans, beer is not just something to get drunk of, many people just like it for the flavor. Especially with Weißbier, there's a pretty big market for the alcohol-free ones as well. Some other beers that I've come across here in the US include Andechser, also from a monastery in Bavaria, close to the two lakes Starnberger See and Ammersee, just south of Munich. The monastery is up on a hill. It's actually a beautiful trip there, so if you're ever in the area, I would definitely recommend visiting that. And the monastery is called Andechs, and the beer is called Andechser. Andechser. So the CHS almost makes the sound of an X letter. Andechser. Then I've also seen Ayingerz here, pronounced Ayingerz. And Ayingerz is another town south of Munich, and they export about 10% of their beer to other countries. That's probably why I've seen it here. And another one that's pretty successful too internationally is Oettinger, which again is from a town in Bavaria, but this one is in the Schwaben region, so Swabia, so more in the west. The OE in the beginning of the name is actually another way of spelling the umlaut O letter, so it's pronounced Ö. Oettinger. Oettinger. Then going north a little, there is Warsteiner. That one is very present in the US, and it's mainly known for its Pilsner and is from North Rhine-Westphalia, North Rhine-Westphalia, which is the center-west part of Germany. And again, it's called Warsteiner. The W is pronounced like a V in English, V, and then the S in the ST is pronounced like a sh again, and the EI is pronounced I. And as I mentioned earlier, an R after a vowel in German is often pronounced A rather than actually making the R sound, R. So you're not saying Warsteiner, but you're saying Warsteiner. Warsteiner. A little bit south of North Rhine-Westphalia is Rheinland-Pfalz, which is where the beer Bitburger is from the city of Bitburg. Bitburger often sponsors soccer events and TV broadcasting in Germany, and so does Radeberger, which is another famous brewery from Radeberg, which is close to Dresden, so in former East Germany. And this one is pronounced Radeberger. Not super easy because of the R in the beginning. It's back here, R, Radeberger. And then there's also Krombacher, which is from North Rhine-Westphalia again, and this one isn't the easiest to pronounce either. It's Krombacher. So you have both the R and the CH sounds that aren't very easy. Both of those are formed in the back of your throat here. Krombacher. Then there is Jever from the town Jever in the very north of Germany, in the Friesland region. The J letter is pronounced Y, like a Y in English, Jever. Then we have Hasseröder from like the middle of Germany in Sachsen-Anhalt. And last but not least, I wanted to mention Wernesgrüner because I found that they actually sell that beer here at Aldi in the US. I had personally never heard of this before, but as I said, I found it at Aldi in the US. I actually posted it on my Instagram story a few months ago and asked you guys if this is actually German. Guess I could have just Googled it, but a lot of you guys were like, yeah, this is, from East Germany. It's very popular here. As I said, I had never really seen it or paid attention to it before in Germany, but yeah, it's from Saxony, Sachsen, so the east part of Germany, and it's pronounced Wernesgrüner. Wernesgrüner. Those were all the breweries I had written down for today, but of course there are countless breweries all over Germany, so there's many, many more. Let me know in the comments below which of these you've come across before and also which ones you have the hardest time to pronounce. I hope you guys liked this video. I'm thinking about maybe dedicating a whole video to German beer in general at some point, like share some background knowledge about the history and beer culture in Germany, about different types of beer, how it's brewed, and so on. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in by hitting the thumbs up button or leaving a comment. And of course, don't forget about the Oktoberfest discount on my shop, felifromgermany.com, and get your beer mug, your Bavarian style coasters, your t-shirts, bottle openers, and so on for 10% off. Maybe this could even be a cool Christmas present for someone you know, who knows? Either way, enjoy the products, and I hope I will see you next time, which will be on Sunday. Tschüss!